We're going into a new chapter, Proverbs 14. But it continues the steady contrast between two paths that we live, the way of wisdom and the way of foolishness. But this chapter brings this contrast right into everyday life, in our homes, in our speech, our attitudes, and even in our workplace, and even how we treat one another. At the very core of Proverbs 14, it teaches that wisdom isn't just about knowledge. It's about how we live, how we speak, and how we respond in real situations. Every verse in Proverbs 14 gives us a snapshot of cause and effect, what happens when we walk uprightly versus when we ignore the truth. Have you ever noticed how one person's words can completely change the atmosphere of a home? Welcome to Proverbs 14. Have you ever noticed that sometimes just one sentence can bring a start to a division, to a friendship or a family? It can build a family up or slowly tear it apart. So here's the question for you. Are we building our homes or our relationships with wisdom, or are we tearing them down without even realizing it? Today, we're going to take a look at one very powerful verse from this Proverbs 14:1. And it teaches that every day, with our words, our attitude, and our actions, we are either building our families up or we're destroying it. The verse says, "Every wise woman buildeth her house, but the foolish pluck it down with her hands." Now this verse is really much deeper than just talking about a physical house. You see, in this verse, a house could be either your family, a relationship, a spiritual life of a person, our very own character. It's the atmosphere that we're creating around us. And even though it mentions a woman specifically, this wisdom applies to everyone. It could be for husbands, wives, parents, leaders, friends, believers. Everyone is building something. And this verse is all about just that. This verse teaches us that wisdom builds while foolishness destroys. We all should realize that by now, a strong home and a strong relationships, it just doesn't happen by accident. They're built. In fact, they're built daily through patience, kindness, self-control, forgiveness, encouragement, and even wisdom. Wise people build others up with their words. They bring peace instead of confusion. They strengthen people instead of continually tearing them down. But the second half of this verse gives us a warning. "But the foolish plucketh it down with her hands." Notice this very carefully. The destruction comes from her own hands. Sometimes the greatest damage in our life does not come from outsiders. It comes from our own reaction, our own anger, pride, bitterness, or even careless words that we speak. There are many families around the world that are broken, not from someone on the outside, but a family member, someone on the inside, tearing or splitting families apart. I know this to be true. We have it in our very own family. Foolishness tears down what wisdom works so hard to build. Words of wisdom pertaining to this verse are like a house. It's not built in one day. Neither is it broken apart in one day. Most all times, it takes a little by little constantly tearing it down a little at a time. A person who has wisdom understands the power of their words. You see, words can either heal, they can encourage, they can strengthen, they can comfort, and even guide a person. But words can also discourage, create fear, and destroy trust. Wisdom asks this: will my words build a person up? Now, foolishness reacts with emotions without thinking about the damage it can cause. Another powerful truth in this verse is this: if you want peace in your home, peace must first live in your heart. You cannot build a peaceful life with constant anger, criticism, and negativity. Wisdom, on the other hand, teaches restraints. Wisdom teaches patience. Wisdom teaches to think before we speak. Now, the benefits of following this Proverbs: we have homes that become stronger. Our relationships become healthier. Trust between two people can grow. Children actually feel safer. Marriages become steadier, and peace fills the atmosphere. You see, people are drawn towards wise builders because they bring stability and encouragement. Wisdom creates an environment where people can grow. Spiritually, when we choose wisdom over foolishness, we begin reflecting the character of God in how we treat one another. That kind of wisdom changes families from one generation to another. I'll give you a word of wisdom here. Every day, we are laying bricks with our words, with our attitude, and with our decision. The question is this: what are you building? Proverbs 14:1 teaches us that wisdom builds a life, while foolishness tears it apart. So if your choice is to become a builder, you build peace. You build encouragement. You build faith. You build stronger homes. You build good character. Because a life that's built with wisdom becomes a place of strength and peace and blessings for everyone. Now, this verse will be on the screen. Read it out loud if you can. Have a great day.